You're destroying yourself just to be noticed, to be seen, just once, to truly exist in someone else's eyes. And how long have you been doing this? What's the first thing you do when you open your eyes in the morning? You grab your phone, you unlock it, and you check. How many notifications? How many messages? How many people noticed you? You might say you don't do this, but you do. And that doesn't make you pathetic, it just makes you human. Because this need existed long before the phone was ever invented. Social media didn't create it, it just made it visible. Now let me ask you, where does this need come from? Did capitalism plant it in you? Your family? School? None of them. This need comes from within. It was there in 1846, and it's here today. That year, a Russian civil servant was working 14 hours a day, earning a few rubles a month, walking through the crowds. A button was missing from his coat, and that missing button was eating him alive from the inside. Why? Not because of the cold, but because people would look, and they'd look for the wrong reasons. All he wanted was this, for someone to look for the right reason, for someone to see him, to notice him, for someone to say, just once, there is someone here and they matter. How different are you from that clerk? Wait, don't answer yet. 1821, St. Petersburg. Fyodor Mikhailovich Dostoevsky was born the son of a military doctor. The family was middle class, neither rich nor truly poor, but his father, Mikhail, was stern, disciplined, emotionally unavailable. For young Fyodor, love wasn't something freely given, it was something to be earned. Be good enough, achieve enough, be visible enough. And Fyodor worked. He was sent to engineering school. It wasn't the literature he wanted to study, but he went anyway, because he wanted to earn his father's gaze. But his father died in 1839, according to some historians, at the hands of his own serfs. And Fyodor never knew for sure, had he ever pleased his father. 4 years later, at 23, he wrote his first novel, Poor Folk. The moment he heard the title, Vissarion Belinsky, the greatest Russian literary critic of the time, stood up. He read the manuscript through the night. In the morning, he sent for Dostoevsky, demanding he come at once. When Dostoevsky walked through the door, Belinsky looked at him and said, "Do you even understand this? Do you know what you've written?" And then he added, "A new Gogol is born." For Dostoevsky, a young man who had perhaps never felt so seen in his life, the world changed. One chronicler says he walked down Nevsky Prospect that night, weeping. He had been seen, finally. Now step inside the book. Makar Devushkin, an old, poor, exhausted civil servant. He spends 14 hours a day as a copyist, hand copying what others have written, putting other people's words onto paper. He has no voice of his own, no story of his own. Even his mode of existence is filtered through someone else. A button is missing from his coat. It's killing him. Not just from the cold, but because that missing button tells everyone something. This man can't even take care of himself. Being seen for the wrong reasons is more painful than not being seen at all. Across from him is Varenka, a young, vulnerable, poor woman, a distant relative. She's escaped a cruel man and lives alone. Makar looks at her. He wants to protect her. He sends her money, sometimes cutting into his own food budget. He sends her books. He writes to her every single day. What's behind this sacrifice? Love? Yes, in a way. But Dostoevsky doesn't stop there. Here's the real hook. Varenka writes back. Every time he sends something, a letter arrives, and that letter tells Makar, you exist. I see you. As long as he sends, an answer comes. As long as an answer comes, Makar exists. When Varenka stops writing, Makar's world collapses. You have someone like that too. Maybe one person, maybe a crowd, maybe a platform. But as long as they look at you, you feel real. And when they look away, something inside you goes out. You know this voice. The letters are the skeleton of the novel. Dostoevsky built this entire book out of letters, Makar's writings, Varenka's writings. Two people living in the same apartment block, just a few doors apart. But they don't talk face to face. They write letters. Why? Because being face to face is too dangerous. When you're face to face, you're seen, not just from the angle you choose, but from every angle. But in a letter, you can present yourself selectively. You can write the Makar you want her to see. You open the door only as much as you allow. Does this sound familiar? How many relationships in your life today are truly face-to-face? You text, you post, you present a curated version, and you call it connection. But it's just a correspondence, a digital version of what Makar was doing. In one scene, Makar notices a colleague mocking him because of his coat, because of the button. And his reaction? He's not ashamed. He's not even angry. He just writes to Varenka, "They see me, Varenka, but they see me wrong." That sentence is the heart of the novel. To be seen wrong, that is Makar's true tragedy. Not poverty, the wrong gaze. And to fix that gaze, he needs Varenka's right gaze. When Varenka looked at him, the mocking eyes vanished. Varenka's gaze saw the real Makar, or at least that's what Makar thought. Now we get to the real question. Why is Makar trying so hard? There's a simple answer. Because he's poor. The system is crushing him. Class difference makes him invisible. But Dostoevsky isn't that simple of a writer, and this isn't that superficial of an analysis. Makar wasn't just suffering from poverty, he was suffering from smallness, and those two things are completely different. Jung gave this a name much later, feeding the ego from the outside, seeking one's own existence in the validation of another. When a person reads who they are not within themselves, but in the eyes of others, that gaze becomes a matter of survival. Makar's true tragedy is this. He destroys himself to send money to Varenka. He can't afford tea anymore. He can't eat. He can't get his coat fixed, but he keeps sending it. Because as long as he sends, Varenka writes. As long as Varenka writes, Makar exists. When Varenka stops writing, Makar's world collapses. To be seen is to exist. To be unseen is to be erased. Now, capture this entire analysis in a single image. A man trying to button up a coat with a missing button while simultaneously giving his last piece of bread to someone else. Because if that bread goes, the letters go. If the letters go, he goes. Have you never done this? Even if the currency is different, have you never given away your own bread just so someone would look at you? 1846, Russia. The Tsarist system is shaking. Serfdom still exists. 1/3 of Russia's population is legally the property of a landowner. One human being belongs to another. Millions of Makars, millions of missing buttons, millions of invisible hands. With this novel, Dostoevsky brought the concept of the little man into Russian literature. Gogol started it. Akaky Akakyevich in The Overcoat was also a clerk crushed by the system. But Gogol's little man was crushed from the outside. Dostoevsky's was crushed from within. He was shrinking in his own eyes. That difference changes everything. Because you can change a system. Revolutions happen. Laws change. Serfdom is abolished. It was abolished in Russia in 1861. But that voice saying, "I am not worth being seen," that voice is a different story. That voice comes from you, and to silence it, you need someone else's gaze. This cycle existed in 1846, and it exists today. Fast forward to 2026, the system looks different, but the mechanism is the same. Social media counts likes and tells you they matter. The business world sells visibility, demanding you build a personal brand. Even relationships are now built on an economy of validation. How many people commented on your photo? How many people celebrated your success? And you, like Makar, are still cutting back on your bread, just with a different currency: time, energy, self-respect, letting your boundaries be trampled. It wasn't Tolstoy, but Dostoevsky who wrote this. He wrote it for Russia. Me? I'm reading it as an outsider from Turkey, looking into the Western classics. And looking in from the outside, I see this. This book isn't about Russia, it's about you. This autopsy will continue. If you want a seat at the table, the museum is open every Thursday. I'm talking to you now. 2026, your city, your screen, your life. How many relationships do you have where you feel truly seen, not just heard, seen? Your contradictions, your irrational fears, how you feel when you wake up, the thoughts spinning inside you when you're alone, your small, meaningless joys, the desires you're ashamed of, the disappointments you tell no one. How many people actually see these? Most people can't count any, because most people are either performing or watching a performance. Someone at work, someone on social media, someone in a relationship, a different mask, a different character for every context, and in none of them are they fully visible. And what do you do to feed this hunger? You produce more, you share more, you work harder at your job, because success is the most socially acceptable form of being seen. You wait for more validation. After a conversation, you wonder, how did that go? Before posting a photo, you feel, is this right? In relationships, you're constantly giving, constantly understanding, constantly supporting, until finally the person across from you says, you're a very special person. Sometimes you wait weeks for that one sentence. That is exactly what Makar was doing. And now, let me tell you Makar's end. Varenka left. One day, she wrote a letter saying she was marrying someone else. The man is rich. Her life will be better. And as she left, she thanked Makar. She thanked him from her heart. There's no doubt about that. But she left. And every letter Makar sent, every cent he spent, every piece of bread he gave up, every morning he ruined, none of it kept Varenka there. It all just left him more alone. Because Makar wasn't giving Varenka his love, he was giving her his fear. The fear of, if you stop seeing me, I'll cease to exist. And that fear can't hold anyone. Now let me say something more concrete. If you posted something this morning, what did you think before you hit share? Does this look good? What does this say about me? How many people will like it? Maybe you didn't think these consciously, but your body knew. Your finger hesitated for a second. Or we've learned not to hesitate so that we don't have to feel it. The algorithm knows this. Instagram knows. TikTok knows. LinkedIn knows. And they taught you. Perform more and you'll be more visible. Be more visible and you'll exist more. Makar's letter became a post in 2026. Varenka's answer became a notification. And the kakak notification sound, the vibration of the phone, became the moment Makar's heart beat. You feel this. You feel it every day. And that's why Dostoevsky is still being read 180 years later, because you don't need Tsarist Russia to create Makar's wound. A smartphone and a notification sound are enough. Whose gaze are you existing through right now? Whose validation keeps you on your feet every morning? Whose silence haunts you through the night? And if that person or that crowd were to look away tomorrow, what would be left? The answer to that question is your true size. Dostoevsky didn't answer this question. Poor folk doesn't have a happy ending. The system doesn't change. Makar isn't saved. Varenka leaves and she doesn't come back. On the last page of the novel, Makar, with his broken pen and trembling hand, continues to write letters, not to Varenka anymore. He just writes, to no one, just for the sake of writing. Maybe there's something there, because on that last page, for the first time, Makar isn't writing for someone else. There is no answer coming back, no validation to be won, just the pen touching the paper. Dostoevsky didn't present this as a solution, neither will I. Maybe this isn't the solution. Maybe it's just an observation. What happens when you stop writing to be seen? Does the writing continue? I don't know the answer to that, but I know this. Makar gave everything he had, his whole life, just to be seen. He gave his bread, he gave his time, he gave his dignity. His coat always had a missing button because he never had the money to fix it. He always sent it to someone else. This novel was Dostoevsky's beginning. Crime and Punishment, The Brothers Karamazov, The Idiot. He opened them all with this question: what a human being will do just to feel like they exist. And every time he found a darker answer, because the answer didn't change, only its form did. Makar started with a letter, Raskolnikov continued with an axe, and the distance between them is just one generation. And what's left in your hand? Unanswered letters, missing buttons, and a hand that is still writing. So what about you? What have you destroyed just to be seen? And is that thing still missing today?